Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Clayton County Board of Education work session. Today is January 29th, 2024. It is 6 p.m. And I'm going to call the meeting to order. We just came out of executive session where we discussed land matters and litigation. We'll start off with doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we are going to get our meeting started. I'm going to call the roll, please. Starting with District 1, Ms. Jasmine Bowles.
Present.
District 2, Mr. Mark Christmas.
Present.
District 3, Jesse Gorey, that would be me. District 4, Miss Victoria Williams.
Present.
District 5, Dr. D. Haney. District 6, Miss Mary Baker.
Present.
District 7, Miss Sabrina Hill. Miss Hill isn't with us this evening. She is in DC representing us at the Equity Conference. District 8, Ms. Joy Tillis Cooper.
Present.
District 9, Mr. Benjamin Straker.
Present.
Superintendent, Dr. Anthony Smith.
Present.
Attorney, Mr. Clem Doyle.
Present.
Board Liaison, Ms. Kim Blackwood. Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent and Board, Ms. Arlicia Battle. Administrative Assistant to the Deputy Superintendent, Ms. Don Blau. And we do have a new member to the team here. I would like for him to stand up. His name is Mr. Todd Poe. He is our board intern. He is a senior at Mount Zion High School, the Mighty Bulldogs. And he's aspiring to be a Morehouse man. And some birdie told me that I believe that he might be in the running for the Gates Millennium Scholarship. So let's stand up for that. And we are going to put that in the air, and we're going to claim it for him. And we have him up here. Actually, he's about to get off. I'm gonna Todd, do you want to say anything? You want to come on and say a few words here?
I'm currently an intern for them at the Board of Education. I appreciate every opportunity that they've given me. Thank you.
Okay. He's a very humble young man. He's been doing some great things for us. He works, whenever he's on our work-based learning program. And so we're hoping we're going to have some more people to join him. We've been looking for some good help. So anyway, I want to acknowledge a couple of other people too. Today is a special day. It is a day that will always go your way. Today's your birthday. Look, I don't remember that song, but you got it going on. It's Victoria Williams' birthday today. She could be anywhere, like on an island in Jamaica sipping, but instead she's sitting up here doing her due diligence as board member from District 4. When we had our last meeting during that week, we missed a birthday. Our attorney, Mr. Clem Doyle, just had a birthday. So we have another birthday. Mr. Doyle, happy birthday. And we had that whole list of people, and we have a person that's very near and dear to my heart. I believe Dr. Gloria Duncan had a birthday. I believe the Capricorn. So this year, we're moving so fast. 2 more days and we're in February. All right. So we have the roll. We're all ready to go. And so at this time, I need to read the ethics statement. Keep up with me, Mr. Vice Chair. In accordance with board policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter scheduled to come before the board at this meeting or appearing on our proposed agenda? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. All right, at this time, I do need an adoption of the agenda. I need a motion, please. Mr. Christmas.
So moved, Madam Chair.
All right, I need a second. Ms. Baker.
Second.
It's been moved and properly a second that we approve the agenda as presented. Ms. Williams, all right, and it is a unanimous vote, 8-0. All right, so at this time, we are going to deal with our recommendations from executive session. And in executive session, we discuss land matters. So I need a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the easement request at Mundy's Mill High School. Ms. Bowles.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to lift that motion from executive session for the easement at Mundy's Mill.
All right, Mr. Christmas.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the easement at Mundy's Mill. Please vote. All right, and we have 7 in favor and 1 abstention. All right, we also have the superintendent's recommendation for an easement at Charles Drew High School. I need a motion for the easement at Drew High School. Ms. Williams.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the easement.
All right, I'm going to second that motion. So it's been moved and properly second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the easement at Charles Drew High School. Ms. Bowles, I need a vote. All right, and the vote again is 7 in favor and 1 abstention. All right. The next item on the agenda are updates to the board. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, staff members, and community members. My updates will include presentations from the Teaching and Learning Division as well as Student Support Services. So at this time, I would like to ask Dr. Delphia Young, Deputy Superintendent for Teaching and Learning and Strategic Improvements, to come forward to do her presentation.
All right. Sorry about that. Again, good evening, Dr. Goree, Vice Chair, Mr. Straker, members of the board, Superintendent Smith, and members of the community. It is with great pleasure to bring to you our updates for the division. Before we proceed, I would like to acknowledge the significant reduction in the number of federally identified schools from 22 to 4. The last time I was here, it was embargoed. And so I'm proud to say that we have decreased the number of federally identified schools from 22 to 4. And I believe next week we'll be honoring those principals for the hard work that they've carried out. And of course, that reduction is based on their performance on the 2023 College and Career Readiness Performance Index called the CCRPI. And so again, let's congratulate our schools and let's be prepared to honor all of our principals for the hard work. In addition, I like to say that we have a continued collaboration with the Human Resources Department. and an opportunity to expand our partnership with Mercer University. I presented this information to you before, and you approved a $150,000 contract with Mercer University. Now we have the opportunity to add on additional staff members to pursue their master's and specialist degree at the cost of $65,000 to the district, but no cost to the participants. And so whenever that opportunity comes up, I hope you continue to support us as we ask for that increase. And now in terms for the actual update for the division, we will hear from Dr. Monica Wiley. She will give us an update on school choice, and she's also going to share with you our good news about a grant we recently received. And then you're going to hear from Dr. Pamela Pitts, who will share with you an update on CTAE. The grant and the update to CTAE are linked. So, you know, I always say this, if you have questions and we can't answer them tonight, please feel free to email me and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And without further ado, Dr. Wiley, will you please come forward?
Good evening, Chair Dr. Goree, Vice Chair Mr. Straker, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Anthony Smith. And it is a pleasure to come before you again and just to give you a brief update on school choice, because I just presented before you in August, but I wanted to give you some information for this semester. So this slide is just an overview of what you saw in August and talks about our various school choice programs. And now our semester events. I'm not going to read this because I know you had a copy of this in advance, but I do want to highlight, and hopefully you can mark your calendars for February 23rd, which is our Leaders in Government Advocacy Day. Dr. Young is going to send an update to you later this week or next week with additional information, but we would like for you to join us on that day, and we are going to start our journey at Jonesboro High School, and we're going to have a mock trial demonstration. They're going to practice on us, and then we're going to transition to Drew High School. And then with that, we have our partner appreciation luncheon. Please mark your calendars for that as well, and you will get more information regarding that. And we will be giving our first annual school choice scholarship. We will be awarding a scholarship to a deserving senior or seniors. We're trying to do multiple. It's the user and not the device. The open enrollment dates, you will see that we do have some key important dates for our families and our employees for this semester. Our late applications for our magnet programs will open this week on February 1st, and that is why we have a school choice fair on Saturday to talk about our magnet programs, the application process, and we will assist parents on Saturday with applying to our magnet programs. But all of our school choice options will be there as well. And then you will see next will be our pre-kindergarten application, which opens on March 1st. And then the virtual programs open April 1st. And then, of course, the student transfers, which includes the employee student transfer process, will open April 15th. And our families will receive postcards. They've already received one regarding the magnet programs, regarding those dates. And I just developed the one for student transfers, so they will receive that in ample time in order to apply to those programs as well. In pre-K and virtual, they do a great job marketing their program and their application dates. I suggest that at some point you scan those QR codes, because we do have our pathways posted to our website so that you can see which programs are K-12 programs or how students can matriculate through each of the pathways. And we also gave you a QR code for the magnet programs, because I know that you like to look at the magnet programs to see where we are and what we're offering and any improvement or enhancements that we've done. The application process, I really love this portal that we use, the School Mint application, because we are able to gather any type of data, the demographic data, where our students live, what what they're applying to. And because of our MSAP grant, our Magnet Schools Assistance Program grant, we needed that portal so that we are able to easily report to the federal government, because we do have quarterly and annual reports that we do have to submit to the federal government regarding that particular grant. And for our pre-K will use the district's Infinite Campus OLR this year for their pre-K applications, and all of that information is posted to our websites, to the pre-K website and to the school choice website. So our new school choice programs, I'm excited to say we are on schedule, on track to open West Clayton STEAM program, Martin Luther King Jr. Botany and Zoology program, and North Clayton Middle School STEM program as magnets in August. So we are on track to open those programs. We have already accepted applications last semester for the on-time applications, and they are accepting applications beginning this week for late applicants as well. So I'm excited to say that. And because we are opening those magnet programs, I am working with Dr. Pamela Pitts to develop a survey so that we can survey that community to ensure that we are offering the right programs. And it is a seamless K through 12 process. And we are going to include Northcutt Elementary in that process as well, because Northcutt feeds into North Clayton Middle and it feeds into North Clayton High School. And with that, we are going to make enhancements to North Clayton High School as well. And we have already begun that process by meeting with the principal last semester, going through the curriculum design. And even I'm so excited about their curriculum design because we are looking into offering meteorology at North Clayton High School to enhance their aviation program, because meteorology is a component that we noticed was missing in that curriculum design. So I'm excited about that. So now I'm really about to show you my excitement, because this is the first year that the federal government implemented the Perkins Innovation and Modernization Grant. There were approximately 119 applicants or somewhere around there, and only 19 school districts earned that grant. So we have been awarded a $4.1 million grant. It's a 3-year grant. And I am just so excited about it, because this is a grant that's going to work the vision of our superintendent, Dr. Smith, with enhancing our CTAE programs. That is the purpose of this grant. I do want to thank the people listed on the screen now, because I could not have written this grant without their support. Whenever I asked for anything, they gave it to me. Whenever I needed something, they gave it to me. So I do want to thank all of those people, but specifically Dr. Pamela Pitts and her CTAE department, because she needed to give me a lot of data, and she was able to give me the data that I needed to make sure we submitted a successful grant. The purpose of this grant, if you do not know, is to innovate our strategies on how we are implementing work-based learning activities, how we are improving our students' ability to go to college and not take remedial classes. What are we doing to ensure that we increase our dual enrollment opportunities? And what are we doing regarding the workforce in Georgia? So our schools in this grant, trying to go back. Our schools in this grant, I'm proud to say, Charles R. Drew High School, North Clayton High School, and Riverdale High School. And all of those schools' programs are what they're already currently offering, except we're implementing teaching as a profession at North Clayton High School, because they're the only one of these 3 that did not have teaching as a profession. So we want to make sure that we implement teaching as a profession at that high school, because we are in a critical area where we need teachers. So we need to start building our teachers from K all the way through college to make sure that they come back and work at home. So with that, I would like, if possible, to play this congratulatory video from Amy Lloyd. She is the Assistant Secretary for the CTAE Department for the U.S. Department of Ed.
Congratulations, Clayton County Public Schools for winning a Career-Connected High Schools Perkins Innovation and Modernization Grant. We are excited about all that you are going to accomplish in the Launch Your Career project. Your partnership with multiple institutions of higher education in Georgia will lead many more students to thrive in dual enrollment, and we appreciate your focus on staffing work-based learning and mitigating barriers to engagement in it. In addition to your in-demand and high-quality existing CTAE pathways, we're especially excited about you launching Pathways in Teaching. You are strengthening Georgia's future, and the future of career-connected learning has never looked brighter. I'm Amy Lloyd, and I have the honor of serving as the Assistant Secretary for the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education here at the U.S. Department of Education. We are grateful to have received over 160 proposals for this first-of-its-kind Career Pathways grant competition. Clearly, our nation has great demand for and powerful solutions to blurring the lines between secondary, post-secondary, and the world of work so that all young people have pathways to rewarding futures. And while we cannot fund all of the incredible career-connected proposals that were submitted in this round, we know that all of the great vision and work happening in this important space will continue to have a ripple effect, positively impacting our nation's students, employers, communities, and economies. Your collective dedication and innovative ideas have not only earned you this prestigious grant, but have also ignited a spark of hope for the future of education. This grant program represents more than just a financial boost. It's a beacon of transformation. Students and parents will be able to make real choices about their futures, and students will gain the skills they need to thrive as professionals in a rapidly changing world. Employers will benefit from a more skilled and adaptable workforce. Communities will flourish as education becomes a driving force for progress and our young professionals become engaged citizens. And our economies will be strengthened by the infusion of talent and innovation that drive our growth and competitiveness. We are inspired by your efforts. And through the Unlocking Career Success Initiative here at the department, we are working hard alongside you to make sure that every student leaves high school with the 4 keys to unlocking their own career success: dual enrollment, work-based learning, workforce credentials, and career advising and navigation. So as we congratulate you today, we also express our deep gratitude for your commitment to innovate and redesign our education and workforce systems to become on-ramps for young people to enter rewarding careers. You are the architects of change, positioning our youth to build and lead our future, and we can't wait to support you and see the remarkable transformations your endeavors will bring. Here's to the great work ahead. Congratulations.
So I'm not going to read all of the bullets for our objectives or even the next slide because I know you have copies of this, but I do want to emphasize dual enrollment is a key piece to the grant and it was required. Work-based learning participation is also one of the requirements. And of course, the industry recognized credentials are required. And then as Ms. Lloyd said, we do want to make sure that we are giving our students that career planning while they are in high school. So these are just some of the sample evaluation outcomes because the evaluation is required. Like I said earlier, the external evaluation is required for our school system, but we want to monitor and make sure that our students are moving into post-secondary courses, rigorous courses while they're in high school. So we're going to look, and this was a requirement, as to how many students are attaining at least 12 credits for dual enrollment. And we're not just going to leave them out there by themselves. We are going to implement some tutorial programs, and we'll talk about that shortly. So the personnel that's written into this grant is the project coordinator, and then each school will receive a college and career advisor. That's on top of what they already have in the building. So each school will receive a full-time college and career advisor. And then the work-based learning coordinator for the district level is going to be in kind. Other budget items, I'm not going to go through all of this, but I do want to highlight 3 of them. I want to highlight the fact that we are going to provide student transportation to Clayton County Fire Department's training facility. I know that was an issue, and Dr. Pitts and I, we talked about that. So now that the federal government is allowing us to use some of the funds for transportation, we decided to use it in this way so that we're mitigating the barrier of our students not having transportation to that facility to earn the certification, to be able to walk across the stage and be employed when they receive their diploma. So the second thing I want to highlight are student scholarships. We wrote student scholarships in the grant and it was approved. So there will be 10 seniors each year of the grant from each school that will earn a $5,000 scholarship. Okay, and so thank you. We are aligning that scholarship to their work-based learning. We're aligning that scholarship to the end of pathway assessment, and we are aligning that scholarship to either their acceptance into a technical college or a four-year college. And those acceptances have to be based on their pathway that they're graduating with. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are feeding whatever workforce that they're going into. And then I want to highlight the SAT, ACT, AccuPlacer stipends. For our students, we are going to give them and develop a rigorous tutorial program to ensure our students, or at least try to ensure that our students are eligible for dual enrollment. If the students are eligible for dual enrollment, we at least know that those students will not have to take remedial courses in college when they go to college. And that's the key, ensuring our students do not need to take remedial courses when they get to college. So this is a 50% matching grant, meaning if we spend $1 million from the federal government, we have to spend $500,000 from the school system, which is already in our budget. So we're not coming to ask for anything additional because only thing we're asking for is the work-based learning coordinator. That's it, but that's needed. We added in the grant what we're doing and going to do for North Clayton High School's aviation program. We've added some other things in there that we're doing. And tutorial stipends, you all have already approved the tutorial stipends for our students to tutor other students. So like I said, we're not coming and asking for additional funding to match this grant. It's already things that we are doing in the district. Immediate next steps. I just want to highlight two of those things on there. Our immediate next steps will be to hire the grant coordinator, the project coordinator, which I've already submitted the information to HR to approve or to help me revise the job description for this particular grant. And then we're going to develop and implement the scholarship criteria and application because our current seniors are actually eligible because the grant fiscal year starts actually February 1st of this week. So we want to make sure that those students take advantage of that scholarship. Are there any questions?
Mr. Straker.
Dr. Wiley, great job at putting this program together and directing this program. If you're from Clayton County or you've driven around Clayton County, you'll notice that the Board of Commissioners, whenever they have events or information that they want to give out, they'll have signage throughout the entire community. One of the problems that I'm noticing with these programs is that it's not getting out in the community to the people that need to know this. Correct. The typical budget for any business when they receive money like this is about 2 to 5% of that budget would go towards marketing. Is there any plans to ramp up the marketing so that these great programs can penetrate the community?
Absolutely. Marketing is in two places in this grant. It's in the actual federal government grant. I've added funding in there, and it's allocated in the 50% matching so that we can get the word out regarding these programs, because you're right. We need to improve our marketing with our programs because we have some great programs at all of our schools. And so we really do need to improve our marketing.
And if I can add to that, Dr. Wiley, Mr. Straker, we're going to have numerous parent meetings along with students as we shore up our workforce development initiatives. In addition to the great resources that Dr. Wiley has garnered through grants and other means, we've also gotten a $250,000 commitment from Georgia Power. And we also get a call every week from Senator Ossoff's office, letting us know when we start formulating this division, and he will be sharing resources with us as we deem necessary for his office to send to us. So we are very excited, and we will be way more robust about how we market and advertise and communicate with students and families than we've done in the past.
To piggyback on that, with the marketing piece, the other thing is actually getting to the meeting. And it would help if we could provide transportation. I want to really thank, I know when I did the college fair event over at Morrow High School, Dr. Dunn provided transportation. And I was surprised because I was really surprised at how many of our students came, but more so surprised when I saw people from Griffin, Spalding, Savannah, and everybody else in there trying to take our money. Fayette County as well.
Yes.
You know, take our scholarships. Ms. Cooper.
Madam Chair, I meant to turn my light off because Mr. Straker, he asked the question, and then Dr. Smith, he kind of followed up and answered as far as like with the students and how they would get the information. But if you're going to have parent sessions where they come out, they'll get it. You're ramping up on the marketing, so no question.
Thank you. Ms. Bowles.
Good evening, Dr. Wiley.
Good evening.
This is phenomenal, very exciting, and a very big deal. So kudos to you and the entire team for making this happen. My question is about this investment and the sustainability of such a big idea. So I'm curious about whether or not this grant is time-bound. For example, a 3-year investment or a 5-year investment, what the DOE has promised us in terms of years. And then I'm curious, I already know this is going to be a huge success, right? So this is at Drew, North Clayton, and Riverdale. And I'm curious about how we're using this as a pilot or idea to scale to all 10 of our high schools. And I know we each have our magnets at each high school, but just curious about how y'all are thinking about not only making sure this program never dies after their initial investment, and then B, how can we be sure that we take the best of this and make sure every high school has access to it?
Absolutely. The grant is actually for 3 years with the possibility of adding 2 additional years. You know, they can guarantee well, really, they can't guarantee 3 years, but they gave us a guarantee of 3 years. And then if funding is there through the House appropriations and the Senate, and they can fund additional 2. So we have the possibility of 5 total years for this grant. But I would like for Dr. Pitts in her presentation, she's coming up after me, so she can talk to you about what she's doing with work-based learning and the career options and all of that for all of our schools, because sustainability is a piece of this grant, because we want to make sure that we are continuing this and scaling it to the other schools. So her piece is coming right after mine. And if I need to come back and answer some more questions, I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Baker.
My question has to do with these different magnet programs, and they're fantastic. And I wish they had them when I was in school. But when somebody applies, how soon do they get their answer that they're accepted? And do we have a wait list for students who didn't make that first cut? Because we know that people move during summers or change their minds or whatever. So one, when do they get their answer? And 2, is there a wait list, and how would they be notified?
Absolutely. Let me clarify one thing before I answer your question on the magnet process. This particular grant has absolutely, positively nothing to do with magnets. This is just their school. So every student who is enrolled in those 3 schools will have the opportunity to participate in this program. This is for the school-wide. We are looking to do school improvement for the entire school and not just a small group of magnet students. So I just needed to clarify that there is nowhere in this grant where we mentioned magnet programs. Okay, so these are true CTAE programs for all of our neighborhood students. Now, if a student wanted to participate in the student transfer process, if they attend Lovejoy and they want to go attend North Clayton High School, they can complete the student transfer application and get it and be transferred to North Clayton High School. So this is not a magnet grant. Now, to answer your question regarding the process, basically the application process, the on-time applications closed December 1st. And then from December 1st, we go through and we look at the applicants, make sure that they're complete. And then the School of the Arts and the other schools that may need to do some type of audition or interviewing, they do that in the month of January. Stillwell is the last school right now that's completing their auditions this week. And then we'll go through and look at those audition results and start the process of emailing parents. But we try our best to let parents know by March 1st. Now, if you completed a late application, you may not know until May because we want to take care of the on-time applicants first. And then, yes, there may be a waiting list, but if a student declined their seat, the waiting list is automatically pulled from. There's nothing we need to do. It's set up where if a student declined, another student is automatically entered in parent email. Okay, you're welcome.
And Madam Chair, if I can add, Mrs. Bowles posed a very important question about sustainability for this great work that we're doing. And I just wanted to say to her and the board and community that we feel like Senator Ossoff's office will really be supportive and help us with funding. We don't know definitively what that would look like yet, but I just wanted to make you aware that the governor's office, Governor Kemp, has incentivized efforts through public school systems that shore up their workforce development programs to match the fact that Georgia is the best state in the country to do business with, but we're a little bit behind with having the workforce to support that great status. So when we feel like when he hear about the great innovative approach that we're applying to this workforce development initiative, that we'll gain even more support from the state, and we'll certainly keep the board attuned to the developments with that initiative.
I wanted to add also that when we talk about sustainability, we know when money runs out, then I think it would just fall upon us to find the money in our budget to sustain it, especially if it's working. So that shouldn't be a problem. If it's working, then we find the money in our budget to sustain it. And with some of the things that we have, going for us, such as, in 2 years, our convocation center will be, hopefully we will have some revenue from that. I'm not sure. I don't think we're really charging anything for those charging stations that we put up at these high schools, but I think everybody else charges. So we might need to start charging. And if we have anybody that's looking at this meeting that's a part of the mayor and council of Jonesboro High School, we would like to come and get our 5% of those tickets that you have not given to us. All the other cities have done so. We're coming for you next. I wanted to mention, since we are talking about choice and you brought up K-PACE, I see that I love the fact that a lot of these programs are in my area because we need them, because everybody in our area is going south. So we need some people to come north. And as you mentioned to Ms. Bowles, that if there are, I think what we should say, the programs are at these schools, but more so the programs are open for everyone. So if you don't attend these schools, but you want to be a part of the program, then you should apply.
Yes.
And make that transfer. But I'm looking in particular at K-PACE.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, West Clayton has that, you're putting a program over there for them, but I wish you all would also think about maybe putting your elementary dance magnet at another location. Maybe I was thinking West Clayton, but you're putting a program there, but maybe you might look to see a school in the South, Hawthorne or something east and west. I think we should have at least 2 locations for our elementary fine arts program because we have a waiting list there and the numbers are larger at the elementary level. Then they start trickling down because, then by that time, no, we're not going to do that. By the time you get to middle school, but elementary, everybody thinks their kid is the greatest and we want to put them and they want to be millionaires and let's give them the opportunity. Just like years ago when we had our 2 locations, we had North Clayton and Lovejoy for our IB programs. So let's see if we could look at doing that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will get with Dr. Young and your answer now? Okay.
And I'm going to ask about agricultural, that part of the CTAE, but I think she's probably going to address
Yes,
that.
yes. Thank
Dr.
you.
Pitts.
Thank you, members of the board. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Very briefly, we are asking for additional funds for fine arts. We're looking upward to $500,000 we're asking for so that we can expand our fine arts programs as well as purchase additional instruments, et cetera. So that money will be asked for. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right.
Mrs. Corey, you mentioned about agricultural program.
I think we're going to I think Dr. Pitts might say something. I know what you're going to say, but maybe let's let her have her report first. Then you tell us all the good stuff.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Goree, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Straker, members of the board, our illustrious Superintendent, Dr. Smith, and the Clayton County Public Schools community. Again, I am Dr. Pamela Pitts. I am the Executive Director of CTAE, and I am here tonight to talk to you about some wonderful opportunities for our students and really highlighting our work-based learning programs. But before I do that, I do want to address some of the questions that you had pertaining to sustainability of our programs. I came before you last semester and I talked to you about the importance of Perkins grants and Perkins Plus grants. One of the ways that we ensure that our programs are sustainable throughout the district falls in my area of CTAE in ensuring that we write those grants for all of our schools so that we can ensure that our programs are thriving throughout the district. And also putting a focus on a lot of our programs by what you just talked about, communicating and get the word out about our programs and making sure that all of our equipment is up to date. And these grants are written every year. All right, so we're gonna talk briefly and we'll also get to the agricultural part that you want me to discuss, Dr. Goree. But when we're talking about some of our students and all of the wonderful things that they're doing here in Clayton County Public Schools, I do want to thank the board for the opportunity to have more of our students participating in our work-based learning programs. But I just want to highlight just a few. I do want to take the time to talk to you briefly about Construction Ready. We were so very excited about this program. Construction Ready basically wants our students to be prepared for the workforce, which is our vision for our students to be college and career ready. The Construction Ready pathway that we have here in our school falls within architectural and construction, and we have students affiliated with our Construction Ready program from Riverdale High School, Mount Zion High School, Jonesboro High School, Charles Drew High School, the Perry Learning Academy, Mundy's Mill High School, and Lovejoy High School. When our students are with the Construction Ready program, it's like an apprenticeship. It's giving our students real-time work experience. Construction Ready says that they have a 96% employability rate. Clayton County beat that. We had 100% of our students graduate from Construction Ready. For those of you who went to the Perry Center to see that graduation, it was absolutely something to see when our students finish a program and they receive that envelope and they have a job. Kudos to Dr. Terry Young at the Perry Career Academy and his team. Kudos to our students at our various high schools. And to date, we celebrated 54 construction-ready graduates. When those students graduated, I do want to highlight those companies that hired our students, if you would give me the pleasure. Anning Johnson, Diversified Utility Services, Georgia Power, Independent Electrical Contractors, Millwright Local, Net Planner Systems, Nova Engineering, QM3 Utility Services, and the Circle Group. The next work-based learning program that I would like to highlight is Georgia Power. Georgia Power assists our students in the following pathways of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the schools affiliated that I'm going to discuss tonight are North Clayton High School, Forest Park High School, Jonesboro High School, and Riverdale High School. This is up-to-date and current information. Georgia Power is one of our largest of our 4 utilities, and their sister company is the Southern Company. We had various students across the state who were applying for an internship with Georgia Power. They only gave about 30 of these internships. Clayton County had the most with 5 students who got those internships across the state of Georgia, and we're very proud of those students. I'd also like to highlight our Clayton County Fire Department, which serves the pathway of law, public safety, corrections, and security. Those schools affiliated with those pathways are Charles Drew High School, Jonesboro High School, Mundy's Mill High School, Morrow High School, Riverdale High School, and the Perry Career Academy. To date, we've had 28 students who had the opportunity to work for them. Right now, we still have 12 Clayton County Public Schools students working with Clayton County Fire, and they started at a salary of $48,000 directly out of high school. We're so very proud of that program. The other program that I'd like to highlight is Clayton County E911 Communication Division, which services our law, public safety, corrections, and security pathway. Those schools affiliated are the Perry Career Academy, Jonesboro High School, Riverdale High School, Morrow High School, Forest Park High School, Charles Drew High School, Lovejoy High School, and Mundy's Mill High School. We are in our infancy with the 911, but we still have students from Clayton County Public Schools that are in those career pathways. Right now, we have 2 students serving in our E911 Communications Division. Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport is a partner of Clayton County Public Schools and our CTAE department. Their pathway that I want to discuss with them tonight is not aviation. It is architectural and construction. Our students that are working right now at Hartsfield International Airport in those 2 career pathways are from Elite Scholars Academy and Forest Park High School. Those students have the opportunity to work directly with foremen from there, the recent construction that is happening, and we're very excited about those students. We also have various partnerships to get our students ready for the workforce through internships. Right now we have Warner Brothers Discovery. Clayton County Office of Youth Services is also working with our students. We also have Say Yes to Prom 2024 that we're doing, and all of these wonderful opportunities are preparing our students, again, to be college and career ready. If you have any questions regarding some of the work-based learning opportunities, I'll entertain those questions at this time, and I'm definitely ready to talk to you about any agricultural programs.
Ms. Taylor Cooper.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts, for that presentation. It was wonderful. My only question is, are there any pathways that we have where there's not an instructional teacher there and we're looking for that, or are all of the pathways covered?
We do have some pathways right now that we do not have an instructor in. I'll give you two examples. One at Lovejoy High School, which is our automotive pathway. And that was recently vacated. Unfortunately, our instructor passed away. Please keep the Lovejoy family in your thoughts and prayers, along with the students of Lovejoy High School. And most recently, our teaching as a profession at one of our schools, Morrow High School, where that instructor had to leave for health reasons. If you'll also keep the Morrow High School family and students in your thoughts and prayers.
Dr. Haney.
Ms. Tellis Cooper already answered the question, but I just want to commend you on the CTAE program, just hearing all these great initiatives that you all are doing. Also, speaking to one of the graduates who's now a firefighter, I keep in contact with, he's just expresses his sincere thanks for allowing that opportunity. I just had a question when you all were saying that if some of the programs, just say the firefighter program, though that student was at one school and was offered at another school, how does that work again? Just help me to understand that, because one parent wanted the child to go here, but he went to this school as of his home school, but the CTE program offering that he wanted was at another school. So how does that work for a student to get into that program? Just say firefighter if it's not at their home school.
Yes, ma'am. We offer school choice. So if there is a program at another school, our students can apply through the school choice so that they can go to that school for that particular pathway. No problem.
And actually, I kind of know who I think she's talking about. At the time the student was at Jonesboro, we didn't offer it, but we were able to work with the student. He stayed at Jonesboro, and we actually his mom was actually transporting him back and forth, because she even said she was willing to get her CDL license. I said, well, you do that, we can have you pick up a whole lot of other kids that want to go.
Yes.
But one of my concerns is our ROTC program.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that at one time, Monday's Mill, that was they were the bomb, and then Colonel King went to Morrow. And also, I know one of my constituents, we kind of had a little falling out. We'd come back together because he was like, you all are not funding this. And I tried to explain to him that wasn't the case. So one of the things, actually, Dr. Beasley and I had a discussion about this, in that all of our ROTCs are Air Force. And Dr. Beasley and I were talking about, why are we not having particularly, I don't understand why we wouldn't have the Army ROTC. The problem with the Air Force ROTC is that a lot of people, number one, don't retire because we only maybe have one base here, but we could have the Army, or we could even add the Navy or one of the other ROTCs within our school. And that was something that we had discussed. Have you all thought about doing that in order to have the programs back at all of the schools?
Okay. First, Monday's Mill lost Colonel King, which was a valuable member of that team.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We have hired another SASE for Monday's Mill, and we're going to begin the process of hiring another Air Force instructor for Monday's Mill. So again, we do want to ensure the board that will be a thriving Air Force JROTC program. We don't want to leave a school hurting for personnel. So someone has been hired.
But
We have been in small talks also to look at reaching out to other branches of
Okay.
armed services. So just in small talks right now, but that is a process of just applying.
okay.
And as a proud Air Force
Oh,
veteran,
Lord.
the reason why we have exclusively Air Force is because we want our kids exposed to the best branch.
Oh my goodness. Somebody's about to, I don't want any witnesses up here because my son was in the Army, but my daughter attended Atlanta Public Schools, and Atlanta had more than one ROTC. As a matter of fact, they had the Navy ROTC at Douglas High School. That was the only school that had it. And then the other schools, I think, were Army. But I don't think but that's how my neighbor and I had the incident, because Riverdale doesn't have ROTC.
I have love for all branches, Ms. Dr. Gorey. So
I'm
we're
not
going to explore the
sure.
opportunity to bring in other branches.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Smith. I'm not sure if where we are at North Clayton, because actually one of the students sent me a text message and said, Ms. Gorey, we don't have a person here. I don't know if that is the case now, but I would just like for us to look at, other branches, because we're more than likely able to get someone, from another branch other than the Air Force. So, but anyway.
And
thank
yes,
you.
we can do that. It does break our hearts that when we have a student or any student who wants a program that was very successful and they don't have it anymore. So what we've done for those students who don't, we've made sure that they can go to a school that does, but we are looking into other branches of the United States Armed Services.
Okay. I'm going to let Ms. Baker ask her question, and then you can get back with me on my agriculture
Yes, ma'am.
question. Ms. Baker.
I watch a lot of home improvement shows, but especially up in the Northeast, that's one of the things they've been talking about, that we've pushed for colleges, and nothing wrong with going to college, but the different construction, HVAC, plumbing, and stuff like that, and how they're getting more and more kids up there. But one of the programs they have as they go on in their program is the kids literally are on a construction sites for a week, and then they do their academics for a week, and then they're back out on a construction site for a week. And so I just something I'm putting in your head. Don't know how that would work for here, but I'm not even sure. Do we offer plumbing and HVAC other than our regular I-ready construction?
Not at this time. However, one of the things that we did during the ELBC Day for professional development for our instructors, we took all CTAE teachers to Atlanta Technical College so that they could hear from those instructors regarding high demand CTAE careers. And one of those was HVAC. So we are looking to introducing those programs to our students.
And Dr. Simpson is working closely with Train to have a greater presence with them, supporting our students with those pathways.
That is correct.
I was just going to say, because I think plumbers are second after doctors when it comes to what they charge hourly. So if you've ever had to have a plumber in an emergency, you would know what I mean. But
that is absolutely correct. And in the latest snowstorm, with all the plumbing issues, it is a high demand field.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Mr. Straker.
Dr. Pitts, with the major construction that we're going to be doing with the Convocation Center, is there any opportunity to get the kids on that construction site and really highlight, the involvement of our children with a project that big?
Yes, there are going to be some opportunities for our students. Of course, with our professionals, when I'm talking professionals, I'm talking about our CTAE staff. There will be some things that we do with them prior to just walking on the construction site, but we've already had some chats, if you will, with some of our contractors to ask the question, can our kids do this? And we're reaching out to our partners to give our students some more construction internships. But another great one that I highlighted tonight was construction ready. We're getting our kids where they can have hands-on experiences.
So they would actually have to complete that program first.
No, they do it simultaneously, do it at the
Okay.
same time.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
All right, I want to know the agricultural part because I think that I'm not really sure that we offer, but I know we're maybe talking about it, something, because I think our kids think of agriculture is strictly farming, and they don't understand that all these clothes and everything we have have to do with agriculture. So you want to?
The state of Georgia, one of the largest things that we do in the state of Georgia is agriculture. Currently, right now, we have agriculture at one of our high schools, Riverdale High School. And you're absolutely correct. It involves more than just farming. I mean, you have the animal science side. You have just a plethora of things that come with agriculture.
To
Right
include
now-
technology,
Correct.
because those tractors are unmanned now.
Yes, they are. No more going in the field and picking things. We have machinery that does that. But we're also in talks of adding possibly agriculture to North Clayton High School.
Okay.
And if I may, Madam Chair, I would like to thank Representative Rhonda Bruneau for leveraging a meeting with myself and Commission Chairman Jeffrey Turner with the field director for the southeastern part of the United States with the USDA office, Mr. Arthur Tripp. And Mr. Arthur Tripp is in the process of very excited about the conversation that he had with us because, you know, we bought 100 acres down in the Panhandle area and we're expanding Lovejoy for right now. So the need to build a new school will be a little bit down the road, and versus just letting that land sit until we actually need it, we want to dedicate some acreage to having a real meaningful agricultural program to make it the best in the state, similar to our aviation program that we have over at Morrow. And Mr. Tripp has started the process of assigning us a code for the school system. And once we get that code, we can access a lot of funding from the USDA for this initiative, and to already have acreage at our disposal for this purpose really puts us at the top with being able to get support from the USDA office.
And also the state of Georgia through Perkins gives separate agricultural money to Clayton County Public Schools just specifically for agriculture. And that is for extended day as well, because they have to do things in the summer. And oftentimes they come in when we're on breaks, especially if they have animals.
All right. Also, that land that you mentioned, we should also be considering a solar farm on that land as well, because we have electric buses coming, and we should be utilizing Representative Eric Bell had sent information regarding us considering having the solar farm on that acreage as well. So I'm thinking probably would be a good mix.
Yes, ma'am.
But anyway, I think, are there any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Do we have our next thing is student services?
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Anthony W. Smith. Student support services, as you're aware, are constantly developing comprehensive systems of support to make sure that we're aligning our work and making sure that we're maximizing our impact and providing efficient and effective services. Today, we will have Trina Smith, Director of Exceptional Students, come up to share our update about our students with disabilities. She will provide an overview. She will provide information regarding student outcomes, compliance, as well as our focus and next steps. So I'll have Trina Smith come up at this time. Thank you.
And before she comes up, I want to thank you. Come on up, Ms. Smith. I wanted to just thank you, Dr. Crawford, because you've given us like a very comprehensive report each board meeting, because your student services just covers so much, and you've done a great job. I'm glad that you have, let us know everything that comes with it. Dr. Smith says he's glad that you arrived. We're all glad to have you back home.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Ms. Smith.
All right. Well, good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Goree, Mr. Vice Chair, Superintendent Dr. Smith, and board members and community. As already shared, I'm going to share a little bit of how our comprehensive systems of support mentioned also supports our students with disabilities, which we support through all the tiers, but we will continue to support mostly in tier 4. There we go. It's a little touchy. We've already shared the areas we're going to go over, so I'm going to go right to it and start with just a little bit of a summary of the type of students that we serve. For everyone's knowledge, we do have around almost 6,000 students with disabilities. We are 11% population in our county of students with disabilities that we serve, which is pretty average to the state and other counties. 802 of our students, which are 14% of that 6,000 population, is served on our alternate curriculum. The rest on general curriculum, and 5% of ours are students in our preschool program, and that number is growing continuously. As you can see, 40% of our students, the biggest part of our pie chart, is students with specific learning disabilities, which tells you these are what we call invisible disabilities. Our kids are out in regular classrooms and just learning with processing disorders, which is followed closely by significant developmental delay. That's our young kids that are served up until age 9, until we see if there's anything else going on, and students with autism, which is our growing area. Within our areas of students with disabilities, over half of the students that we serve also receive speech therapy services. These are these other additional services, around 600 have occupational therapy, we have physical therapy, and we also work through, with the support of our psychological services team in our other department, working through comprehensive evaluations and testing for all of our students. Just goes to show that our support services help to address additional needs for students with deficits in our county. We also provide support through our preschool program, which provides early intervention starting at age 3 for students with disabilities, and we serve 3 to 5. Currently, again, it was 269. We're already up to 280 since the time that we created this slide. That's how fast we're growing. And we also serve areas like deaf, hard of hearing, sign language interpreting. We have vocational support services. We actually have career technical instructors working with CTAE for students with disabilities. And we work with our educational services for incarcerated youth and other therapeutic supports. So a few little highlights on our academic achievement as we are moving the bar for students with disabilities in Clayton County Public Schools. You'll see it's broken down by elementary and middle school. On next slide, we have high school, but we show that on our CCRPI scores, our students are making progress. Where we have some areas that we have to target in and see some growth in, we have areas where we've made progress, didn't quite meet the state target, and many other areas like our elementary math, middle school ELA, and math and social studies, our subgroup not only met the improvement target, but made progress, but met the improvement target. As we go to high school, we're seeing progress again in 3 of the 4 areas. And we also, in biology and US history, not only made improvement, but met the target, which tells us that students with disabilities across all grade levels have met progress targets for the state this year in 9 of the 11 target areas for our content mastery. I also want to share the highlight of success for graduation. Students with disabilities are graduating at a higher rate. Very excited that we broke the 70% barrier this year. We're at 71% graduation rate for our students with disabilities, and we expect to continue to grow. The other exciting part of this is as we work with training our students to graduate and be successful, what we're seeing from this indicator is where they go to different areas. Some go to higher education. We mentioned trade schools. We mentioned other programs. We also have students that go straight on to work after they graduate high school. But in a summary of students that graduated the year prior to what we looked at, what they're doing, 96.8% of our students are engaged in some sort of post-secondary activity, from work to college to trade school to a program specifically outlined for children with disabilities, which tells you we are not graduating our kids and leaving them at home unengaged, which is our target. In preschool, this one's the extremely exciting highlight. We continue to see the 2 summary areas that we report to the Department of Education showing growth for our students. So as our student numbers are growing, we're seeing growth with the kids. We look at 2 areas. One is the students who enter below age and grade level expectations, age level expectations, but increase their rate of growth by the time they leave preschool, so going into kindergarten. That means they're maturing, they're getting, making progress in goals and getting more towards their grade level peers. The second area you'll see are the percentage of students who were functioning at age expectations by the time they go into kindergarten. That means we've developed their goals enough that they're ready to go out with our regular kindergarten students despite having a disability. And the growth areas in those areas, the number on the bottom you see, for example, 16% growth from the prior year to this year in our preschool outcomes for social and emotional, 11% in acquisition of knowledge, 14% in appropriate use of behavior. Getting to the same age as their same age peers, even better, with 22% growth, 25% growth, and 33% growth in our behavior. So what I'm telling us is early intervention works. We want to get you sooner, and we want to continue to work on growth targets for all of our students, especially students with disabilities. On the other side of the house, we have compliance requirements for special education, which means we do evaluations, we do IEPs for all of our students, and we do meetings to establish eligibility. Our targets here are in initial evaluations. You'll see at the top bar that our number of referrals for evaluation for initials have tremendously increased. So we're seeing more students that have referrals to consider evaluation for special education. But even within those additional amounts and limited staff, we are still continuing to grow our on-time percentage. Our initial evaluations went up 1% at 96.31% on time within our 60-day requirements. And our Babies Can't Wait, we met 100% target for all on-time evaluations for our little babies. We also have a target for parent participation. And I want to take a moment to encourage parents who may be paying attention and watching to be part of your child's IEP team. That is a big goal for us in special education. We want to see our targets get even higher. Many parents you see in the initial IEP, which is the very first one that we ever developed for a child, they come to those meetings. So we started at 97%. We're up to 98.45% parent participation. We want it to be 100%, but we know that things happen and parents can't always participate. On the other side of the house is our annual review. So after they're already in special education, every year we have to hold an IEP meeting. And our goal is to get this up to 87% this year. We are now up to 85%, which is a 3% increase of parent participation. And we have Zoom meetings, we have in-person meetings, whatever works. We want our parents to know what's going on and to be present at their child's meeting. We also handle legal considerations and legal cases. These were our numbers as of the beginning of January, which shows that we are decreasing the number of legal complaints and legal concerns through special education. And I want to also encourage parents, if you have a concern, you have a lead teacher for special education, your principal, and ourselves, coordinator and director, we're here and ready to look into any concerns that we have and see what we can resolve, and we're ready to work with you. So our special education focus areas continue with instruction, compliance, and support services. In our instructional areas, we're focused on specially designed instructional practices, which is specifically working for students with disabilities. We use a high leverage practices component. We're focused on 6 of those this year in training our teachers, staff, and administrators. And we are continuing to strengthen our parent engagement as reported. On the compliance side, we want to continue to increase our timely initial evaluations, our IEP completion, and parent participation in IEP meetings, and continue to work to reduce legal considerations in legal cases. The resources and support that we have in these areas include building capacity through highly trained staff. We have support staff and lead teachers for special education, behavior intervention specialists, specially designed instructional coaches, and we're going to continue to work on those targets. We also offer targeted professional development courses, instructional resources through supplemental support in support of the district's Teaching and Learning and Strategic Improvement Department. And we have decreased over the last 3 years our teacher vacancies in special education by 20% since 2021. Our goal is always 100%. So we're looking for those specialists out there to join us. Part of the ways that we've done that is through our teacher retention and Grow With Us program. This year, we do have 22 paraprofessionals or support staff that were hired into the teacher pipeline, and they will continue to work on their certification, which they have a few years to do, so that we can convert them into, continue to work with them as full-time staff. So our next steps, we're happy with our progress, but we want to see more and we want to see better. And you'll see that we're continuing to strengthen, further align our department to the district's priorities, expand access for our program opportunities throughout the district, as well as equity in our schools. And we're working collaboratively with our stakeholders throughout the district to strengthen our systems of support for special education teachers to improve teaching and learning in all of our schools. We also work to refine our communication structures, process protocols at all of our levels, and build capacity for teacher and school leaders through our professional development. We do ask, of course, that we continue as a board and a community to continue to support those legislative priorities, working with our requesting fully funding special education and at all of our state and federal levels. And before I close, I do have a couple of highlights to share. This is a quick video, if I may, of one of our parent engagement opportunities that we do each year for Parent Expo, which is the culminating event from our Exceptional Children's Week. And this just gives you an idea of some of the community relations we're really building for our students with disabilities as part of our parent engagement series.
Today, Clayton County Public School Expo at Drew High School. It was today. Clayton County Public School had their Exceptional Students Expo at Drew High School, and it was phenomenal.
This entire week, we have been celebrating our exceptional children, our exceptional teachers, and the exceptional staff that work with them.
Today, our theme is Power in Our Differences, and our event is to spread community and district awareness of our services and supports, or our powers, for students with disabilities.
Just about every department was here today, from counseling to behavioral health to math, science, federal programs, just providing information and resources to parents.
It's important because the parents might not know all the resources that we have. And so instead of them trying to go to the school and they're saying they're not there, if they come here, they can know all the resources, ways to get to it, different avenues, and ways to help their child at home.
We have information for families, for the community in every exceptionality. All of our children, we are providing a world-class education so that they can be educated from pre-K all the way up to high school. But later, some of these students will also matriculate to attend colleges. So we are preparing everyone equally.
We have resources for every level. We had numerous colleges here today, and they had representatives from their student disabilities office so that parents and students can talk with colleges and understand what resources will be available to students once they leave Clayton County schools.
We always hope that every year as we continue to do this, we continue to grow our community supports and make more and more connections so that parents have more ways to help them to connect, because it does feel sometimes isolating when you learn that you have a child with a disability. So where do I go from here? And the goal of this every year is to give parents that information. Where do you go? Here's the information, and here's your community of supporters.
So this by far is my favorite event every year. I love putting together this event. The kids had so much fun, just seeing them smile and seeing them enjoy, and at the same time seeing our parents get the resources and the help that they need. That just brings joy to my heart every single year.
It was exciting to see the families come out, the kids enjoying themselves. They had games, they had popcorn, face painting.
We also had examples in our wheelchair sports today. Adapted sports was demonstrated. We had our board members come in and play against the students, so they got to see how difficult it actually is to put yourself in a wheelchair and engage that way.
It was such a revelation as to what some of our students that don't have the body functions that we have,
how they participate in sports. As a community, as a school, just as a human race, we are better when we celebrate our differences. And so coming together today, we want to recognize, accept, and just celebrate the fact that everyone doesn't have to be the same. And the fact that we are different is what makes us all special.
As we look forward, we just want to continue to grow. So we ask our community to continue to reach out to us and connect. The goal in Clayton County is to see more community supports reach the district and the district to reach more community support. So we're working in tandem. And we also would like to see more availability of those community supports in the southern area, south of Atlanta, so that we can make those community supports happen for our students.
Of our adapted sports complex. We opened this season for wheelchair basketball, and we'll be down here again for wheelchair football. So students don't have to be fully wheelchair bound, as we learned. They have a disability. We put them in the wheelchair. We level the playing field. We have a lot of fun. And thank you all for coming out who joined us on Saturday for the game. We didn't win, but we gave them a run for their money and enjoyed ourselves. And last but not least, save the date. This year's Parent Expo will be April 20th. Our Exceptional Children's Week is in April, and we'll be hosting that at Riverdale High School this year. And at this point, I'll take any questions.
Thank you so much. I wish that you all had played out that clip of Dr. Smith trying to play some defense in that wheelchair. He and Dr. Colbert weren't looking so good. But
Well, you'll get another opportunity this year, Dr.
But they
Smith.
ate us up. But you know, the man of the hour down there is Mr. Christmas, because that's truly his baby. And
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Christmas, how often do you practice with
Every
them?
week.
Tuesday and Thursday. You need to come out and roll these chairs with me. Come on out. Support our babies. I'll be coaching them, help coaching them this Thursday.
All right.
Mr. Christmas
Go
has been a
Eagles.
stunt supporter of the Adapted Athletic Complex program. Mr. Christmas was able to get the state director for the Adapted Athletic Program for the state to come out, and they were so excited about what we're doing that they're going to feature us in the National Adapted Athletic Journal. So kudos to Mr. Christmas for his stunt support of that program.
Yes. Miss Baker.
Okay, my question might be a little too early, but will we have any summer programs for these students? You know, being academic, sports, whatever. That's one of the things I've heard from our parents is that they could really use some summer programs.
And we are currently working with teaching, learning, and strategic improvement on all of our summer program supports for all of our students. And with that said, all summer camps, all summer programs are open to students with disabilities. We do, of course, have a requirement for extended school year, so we'll provide that. And we're looking to expand our summer opportunities for all levels. So we'll look for more information to come as we get that approved.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Baker. Dr. Young just completed the report relative to what she's proposing for summer camps. But I can assure you, Ms. Baker, and board members and community, that we are really, really going to do a much improved job with establishing camps for our students with disabilities this summer. So thank you for continuing to push on us with that.
Well, before I acknowledge Ms. Williams, I think that we need to understand is that we have not been neglecting our students. Everything that we offer is for all of the students. It's just that I think sometimes parents think that there's a separate program for their children, but that's an issue. You can't have something separate. We have some students that do have the extended learning because of their IEPs, but every program that we offer for our students is open for our special needs students. So I need people, parents to understand we're not neglecting, but we'll make certain that there are accommodations for your
Absolutely.
children. Miss Williams.
Okay. How you doing, Miss Trina? My question is about the speech therapists and the occupational therapists. You said we have 85 positions. I'm not sure if they filled or not, but we have 3,212 people that need speech.
Mhm.
Are we still using outside agencies, or are these all the ones we have trying to?
We are, the majority, 95% of our staff are from contracted agencies that we work through our RFP. So we open an RFP every 3 years and open companies to bid to be able to contract services for us. The issue that we run into, which every district runs into, is the shortage of speech therapists in that area. So even with 36 companies that we work with, we have difficulty, of course, in competition with every other district and every other state and clinical and private evaluations to retain those staff. So that's something we've continued to work on, but we are retaining more and more of our staff.
So is that something that we can make a CTAE pathway?
That'd be awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Speech therapists from Clayton County.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say that actually when Utopian was actually trying to have their charter, that Dr. Miller actually came here and made a proposal to this board about us having our own speech pathologist. But our superintendent at the time had a deaf ear to it. And I think that's something that we need to consider, is trying to, pay or whatever so that we can have speech pathologists, have a program. As she mentioned, CTAE or however we go about it, we need to do that so that we don't have that problem. Because I have so many parents to say that they're not getting therapy. And I remember when my grandchildren came, and I was a board member, but I told my daughter, you have to say something because it's your child. My own granddaughter didn't have speech the whole first semester. So those are things that we need to work on. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Crawford and Ms. Smith.
All right. These are proposed agenda from the superintendent and chair at this time.
Mrs. Bivens.
Mhm.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith, colleagues and community. This evening, I will be presenting the monthly finance report. Excuse me. Do we need more of that? Okay, there we go. So this is for the first half of the fiscal year through December 31st, 2023. And, hold on. There we go. So we have collected 55.7% of our revenue that we budgeted. So with $353,359,012. Of that, 68% of that is our tax revenue that we collected through December 31st. We collected $19.8 million in other local revenue, $166 million in QBE, and $187,000 in total revenue. On the expenditure side, year to date through December 31st of 2023, we've spent $248,054,570. That's 39% of our budgeted expenditures. Our fund balance increased by $105.3 million, with the ending fund balance of $284,172,391. I do want to note that we do have 6 more months left in the fiscal year that we will not be getting a lot of revenue in, so that will go back down as we progress throughout the year each month. So any questions on the financial report?
Are there any questions?
Okay, the next report is the SPLOS, or the Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. This is the primary source of funding for the school districts for its capital needs. So for the month of December, we collected $5 million. Well, we received it in December, it's actually for November because it's a 1 month lag. So it was $5,427,148 for December of 2023. And the prior year, we collected $5,265,905. So on those 3 months, that quarter, the last quarter of the year, we collected a little, almost $100,000 more than we did at the same time last year. You can see it's November, December, we collected more money in this year than we did last year. October is the only one that was slightly lower last year. And we are on track to hit our target of the estimate that was approved by the voters. So any questions on the SPOS revenue collections?
Are there any questions? You can go.
Okay. And the last item is a purchasing report. On report A, we have consumables purchases made with a value of $10,000 or more. Report B, we have non-consumable purchases made with a value of $10,000 or more, but less than $50,000. And then report C are non-consumable items with a value of $50,000 or more that require board approval as detailed in the executive summary that was submitted with the purchasing report by our purchasing department. Any questions on the part, any of the report A, B, or C?
Yes, there's one item in here from equity and compliance in regards to a contract with, I think it's EEES. I don't know if it was something, maybe, I don't know if it's my computer or whatever. I don't remember an executive summary. I saw something that said executive summary, but I didn't see anything. We would actually, could you send that, have that sent to the board, please, before next week to decide? Because I think it would be nice if we could get a presentation on that before we vote on it, because I'm a little confused.
Mrs. Garrett is prepared to speak about it at our retreat on Saturday.
Oh, okay, thank you. Because last year, all of us were in some type of a group, but we don't really know the connection. Right, yeah, so we just need some information, but you can, no, we'll do it at our retreat. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are there any other questions?
Thank you.
Good evening once again, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith. You received the SPLOST construction update for the month of January. There are two payments totaling $5,282,000. There were no change orders for this period. For the Rosenwall bid, it is recommendation from the superintendent that the lowest responsive bid from Multiplex from Duluth, Georgia be awarded in the amount of $2,708,000. The bid included 15.35% SLBE participation. For the Mount Zion Athletic Field Improvement bid, the superintendent recommends the project be awarded to Media Construction out of Peachtree City, Georgia, for the bid amount of $7,900,000 with 19.51 SLBE participation. For the North Clayton Middle School and North Cut Elementary School CMAT risk selection contractor, the superintendent recommends that Media Construction be selected as the CMAT risk firm. And lastly, for the RFP 24-05 for staff augmentation, the superintendent recommends that Turner and Townsend Heery be awarded the contract.
Ms. Baker.
I have two questions. One on the Rosenwall renovations. Do we have any plans or something so the board can take a look at what it's going to look like or anything like that? I don't remember seeing them if we have. And the second question is on the staff augmentation. I understand we have so many projects and that's why we're looking at this. I just wanted to know if our legal has looked at it. You know me, I'm always looking for a refund policy on anything that we get. So I just want to make sure we've got our I's dotted and our T's crossed, because I see a list of names and numbers, but no, I just want somebody to look at it that knows it better than I do.
Understood. The first question, yes, we do have renderings of the Rosenwall facility. We will gladly share that with the board. In terms of the staff augmentation, it was procured with the procurement department. with unit prices. When we get to the contract phase, we will submit the contracts to legal for review.
And if more information is needed, we're going to be discussing facilities, so we can discuss it then.
Ms.
Because-
Baker, I will show you an updated design on the Rosenwald School on Saturday at the retreat as well.
I'm sorry. Also, I think Ms. Baker mentioned something about money, but I want you all to be aware of the fact that when we have these projects, you all don't always see everything that is done. Some things you're going to see, some of them you won't, because some of the, I'm glad that you shared those prices, but for example, when we sign, well, I have to sign off when we're doing these projects, and I look at the prices that we pay these architects. Like, you know, we look at, sometimes I'm like, no, I want to say no, but we've already said we're going to do the project. But the prices are very similar. I'm just mad at myself because I didn't go into that line of work. When I'm looking at paying $350 an hour and $500 an hour for the so-called principal or whatever, I really would like know what the principal does, because I need to be the principal. So we can look at that in detail. But I do have a question regarding North Clayton and Middle and Northcutt. And just as she mentioned about getting some plans with Rosenwald School, I think we've seen them, but maybe in a presentation, I'm not sure everyone has seen them. But I would really like to know specifically, what are we doing with Northcutt and North Clayton? Can you provide that information to us? Because I guess at some point, I don't know if I signed off on one of these, and if we're giving the contract to somebody, then there has to be an architectural design, right? That comes first, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But with the caveat that for the North Clayton Middle School and Northcutt Elementary School, we're going with the CMAT risk approach. So we're bringing in the contractor mid-design to assist with the estimating. But to answer your question, we do have conceptual designs of the work that's being done, and we'll share more at the retreat.
Okay, thank you. Are there any, I will ask one more question with these, since we had Mount Zion on here. How are we with these fields so that we don't have any more parents calling? Are we going to be ready for baseball season? Are all the fields done or what?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be ready for the first ball game.
Okay. And I think that I actually do have another question, but I'm having a senior moment. So maybe when I recall it, I might have to ask you to come back up. I can't think of what it was.
You asked earlier about the EV charging station. There is a 10% profit sharing associated with those stations.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, other members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith, colleagues, and community members. The Personnel Changes Report summarizes all personnel actions for the period of December 9th, 2023 through January 18th, 2024. All human resources updates were submitted to the Board of Education for your review. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Dr. Haney.
Hey, Ms. Albright, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Wait a minute, I got my question written down. I'd like to see some data, not today, not tomorrow, but just future, some data that captures like every month or probably every 3 months to see the trends and themes. Like you all were telling us that the reason that some of our staff is leaving is because of culture, you know, when you do this exit surveys or whatever it may be, you know, whatever it may be. So I like to see from this point to probably June, and just see if that's still an issue, because I know culture was at the top when we got the packet. And I want to see if that's still going on in those subsequent months. Because the reason I'm asking is because you all said that you all have a development and retention task force, and your objective is to develop a retention framework aimed at reducing and eliminating the barriers. So I just want to see how is the framework tied back to that, just to see, because if we're trying, I had a conversation with Dr. Smith earlier, when we trying to keep teachers and making sure, and then, you know, some of our teachers are coming back, but I want to see why they're leaving. And that's still a problem with the culture or whatever it may be, whatever those factors and variables are, then that we need to address a little bit more deeper. So I just want to see what those trends and themes are just through that retention task force and the framework tied back to that. So if you can just get that to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, the board itself, but I'm just something, not today, not tomorrow, just something as so we could see, so that we can try to get a hold of that.
Ms. Williams.
Hello. My question about the pool positions.
Yes.
So when it's a pool position they apply, is that for the other schools to pick from that position? Or like, is that just a running position? So they'll never like really know if they have the job or not. It could be they fill it out in December and somebody will call them in May.
So this year we ran all of our positions through consolidated pools. And so there were advantages for schools, but there were also concerns that schools identified with accessing and sourcing through the pools. So if it's a first grade teacher example, so first grade teacher pool or elementary teacher pool, all of the elementary schools will have access to all of the applicants who are interested in being an elementary teacher in the district. Same thing with bus drivers, for example. We run a pool position for bus drivers all year long. Next year, when we begin the hiring season for FY25, we're going to go back to individual school postings. So Arnold Elementary, for example, will post their first grade teacher position. North Clayton Middle will post their vacancies versus running the pools. And we'll maintain pools for some of our classified areas like bus drivers. They will continue on a pool. But based on the concerns that were identified with us, we're going to go back to the individual school postings so that the applicant will know exactly which locations have those opportunities available.
Okay. And then the person that's doing the hiring, like the principal, whatever, they receive an email every time somebody's added to the pool to keep looking at it. Like, you know, somebody's been added, you can check this person out, or how does that work?
So the platform that we use does not send an email to the schools every time there's a new person. But what it does capture is the date of application. So let's say I have a vacancy in third grade and I query the system for that particular pool last week. If I go back today, I can see just those applicants who have applied since I last reviewed the pool. But there is an alert or a notification that's sent to the hiring manager each time someone applies. But because the application is date stamped, that's one of the columns by which you can filter. It's very easy for you to know who has applied since you last reviewed those applicants in the pool.
Okay, so it's up to them to keep checking to see if anybody applied for what position is available they're looking for.
Yes, so they do carry a list there. What we've also done is downloaded all of the applicants for specific pools, particularly in our hard to fill areas. Our certification team has downloaded those pools, reviewed the applicants for those that are certified in those areas, and we provided those names to hiring managers that we know have remaining vacancies in those areas.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Haney.
I just wanted to say kudos. I've been watching the LinkedIn. I'm all over that, and I just love to see how you all are posting constantly. I'm always liking, and I just like the traffic that's coming through that. So just continue to do that. I think that's great. And just to piggyback on Ms. Williams, just like what you were just explaining, how different departments are posting the positions, that helps out a whole lot. And so I guess with the bus drivers, you said that's a continuous.
So that's a continuous pool. For example, Campus Kids always has a posting. There's always a bus monitor posting. There's always a nutrition worker posting for the most part. So those positions where we have the need, consistent need, there's always a pool.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
All right, as a follow-up, so you say you're going back to the individual schools listing, okay, because I don't think I want to be in a pool either. I would like to pick where I want to go to, but this is one thing that I want to address. When I recently attended my granddaughter's pre-K program for Christmas, I walked into a school and I had a lot of people. I thought I was a rock star because a lot of people in there knew me. They were our former teachers. And I was like, well, what can we do to get you to come back? Everybody said, oh, we love Clayton County Public Schools, but we have a smaller class size here. And I would like to know why it is that Atlanta Public Schools and Clayton County Schools have about the same amount of students, but some of their schools have very small class sizes. And I think we need to look at trying to reduce. I don't know if we just trying to get because we say we can have 35 kids in the class, we just sticking them in there. We need to look at the wear and tear on our teachers. I can remember when I was in middle school and how big those desks are. You don't even have enough room to move around in the classrooms. And I was looking at, I think that was Drew. I think they just posted something on social media where they were talking about, no, I don't know, or Sequoia, one of the two. They were showing small groups, but I know Drew had a walkthrough. And I'm just looking at great things that we're doing instructionally, but we have too many kids in these classrooms. And I can remember when my first year I taught, I had 42 students in my very first class. I had them until we started school after Labor Day. I had them until October the 1st was when they leveled. And that was just too many. That's too many children. And especially in some of our schools that are, on the state list, we really need to be trying to do things to lower those class sizes. I think we could get everybody talks, even the principal at the school. She said, oh, I've loved these teachers because let me tell you something. You all sure train your teachers good in Clayton County. And they're happy to have them, but I would be happy to have them come back. And I know they want to come home. So can we please look at that as trying to see what it is we can do about lowering some of these class sizes in our buildings? And I think pretty much do we have any other questions? I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Albright.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Hold it. I forgot one thing. Sure. Did you mention, because I admit there is one part of your presentation I didn't look at. Do we have information in here about when contracts are going out? And because I may be the person that overlooked, but can we just say those dates, please?
Absolutely. The first distribution of contracts will be on February 23rd. So first round of contracts is February 23rd, and our first internal job fair is on February 29th, targeting special education.
Thank you, because I just realized I didn't click on one link.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay. Next thing we have are board matters, policies, Series D, first read. Do we have anything? Ms. Bowles.
Good evening, colleagues and Dr. Smith and our policy team. I have feedback regarding Series D. More specifically, I'd love to have a conversation about DJEAB, which is about inclusivity in purchasing. I have a few issues with the proposed edits for the sake of the audience and our community. Ultimately, what we see here is a proposal to take the number of businesses from one percentage lower to another. And I really appreciate the way y'all are proposing these policy changes, because a new feature is a whole paragraph about your rationale. And that means a lot as a reader. And so the rationale proposed here from the district says that the reason that we want to revise this is because multiple vendors are unable to achieve current goals stated in the regulation and have been deemed non-responsive on bids that they submit. So reducing these percentages could increase competition. And I have a problem with that rationale and the proposal itself. So I want to reground us in the issue about why this policy matters. One of my passion for this work comes from an opportunity to correct decades, if not generations, of misallocated funds when it comes to investing in small and local businesses. I already believe that this policy falls short of those who we should be working with because it doesn't name Black, brown, women, or veteran vendors. We were working on that, and in the meantime, we've allocated this percentage for at least small and local businesses. So the current policy states that in construction contracts, we want to see at least 30% SLBE, a third. That's not too much to ask, yet tonight's proposal asks us to go from a third down to 15%. The current policy stipulates that in our professional services contracts, we hope to have an SLBE goal of 20%, 1/5. Tonight's proposal asks us to take that from 20% down to 15%. And the same is true in the goods and services contract portion. So I raise this because it seems a little like lowering expectations, and it doesn't feel good. So I wanted to lift that as a conversation. I think that the SLBE goals that we have are a great foundation. I actually think they need to be higher, so dialing it back seems counterintuitive in my opinion. And I'd rather us have high goals that we constantly strive for and fall short of than lower our goals and make it feel like that's something that we should be okay with.
Ms. Baker.
I think that needs to be open for discussion, and I can see how we have companies who cannot make those numbers at this time. And maybe if we lowered them, and I'm not saying by half, but some, that would give more people an opportunity to do the bid. Once you bid and you grow your company, then you can hire more people or expand your company. So, you know, I understand where Ms. Bowles is coming from, but I don't want us, when I go to places and they say, oh, you know, we would love to work with you. And I said, oh, okay, that'd be great. And then they can't because they don't qualify. And so it's a rocky area. Let's put it that way. I think we all want to say we want more people of different diversities, you know, especially for me, veterans. I would love to see more veterans and all of these, but I understand the reasoning for that. With that said, I wanted to go to DJAA, where we're looking at taking our limit of 50,000 and taking it up to 100,000.
Ms. Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you do me a favor and
Yes, ma'am.
hold that thought?
I can.
And let us address, are you going to
Yes.
speak? Look, and I'm going to come back to you on that. Okay. Mr. Straker.
My question in regards to the lowering of those gauges, I thought that the number that we came up was a recommendation, not a mandate. So I don't think that why would we lower something that we're not saying is mandatory for a company to hit? We're saying do your best effort at hitting that number, and we're putting it out there as a goal. I thought that's what the policy, when the policy team put it together, I thought that that's what we were doing.
Mr. Straker, I if you don't mind, Madam Chair, on the same topic, that is exactly my position. And that's, I hear you, Ms. Baker, and in fact, that is something I looked into. I certainly don't want folks to be excluded, but let's take Mr. Joseph's presentation this evening. I heard him mention the awardees for the vendors and the contracts, and many of those awardees could only meet 15% of the SLBE requirement. Another, Mr. Joseph quoted at 17%. And those clearly are lower than the goals we've set forth, yet we still awarded them just because of what Mr. Straker said. These are suggestions. These are recommendations. We don't deny folks the opportunity to work with us if they fall short, but our standards are set at a certain rate, and I don't think we should lower them. But great point. It certainly has not impacted anyone's ability to work with us up to this point.
Could someone speak on that?
Well, I'm gonna disagree with that. It has impacted because I've been in Atlanta and spoken to some people that I really expected, such as Herman J. Russell and several other minority companies that said that they did not bid. They couldn't bid because they can't meet the threshold that we have. And I think that what we should be doing is maybe putting a range in there because for our practical purposes, if you go back and look at everything that's been awarded, and it's MEJA. MEJA has been the only company that has met that 30%. And that's the reason for trying to lower the number. We're not trying to lower the number to exclude anybody, or, this is not like a grade on the test, like, oh, we're taking it down, and the rationale is to lower the number so that minorities, companies can qualify to get those bids. So you just mentioned a couple of companies, I think that Mr. Joseph might have mentioned. I'm not sure, since I'm not actually in the purchasing department, how maybe it varies from contract to contract. But I think that maybe we need to have a range, and maybe we need to have an explanation, and that would help us. Do you want to speak first before he?
Let me let him speak first, because he may answer my question.
Okay.
Yeah, so this policy has been in effect for about a year. And so we sort of analyzed this with our procurement department. And to your point, majority of our bids has been from MEJA Construction. They have been the only ones that have been deemed responsive at the 30% threshold. Historically, since I've been here, there's been about 4 or 5 general contractors that have pursued work with Clayton Public Schools. And candidly, they just said they will not even swing at our projects with the mark being that high. So we have a lot of work coming out. We've had conversations with those 4 or 5 firms, and they've said that if it's been lowered to 15%, then that they would pursue Clayton Public Schools work. In regards to the recent bids, again, to your point, they do not meet the 30% goal. So we had to work with the Prism, our consultant, to deem their efforts as good faith efforts. Again, the request to lower at 15% is to have more firms pursue Clayton County work to be more competitive. So in essence, the market has spoken.
Mr. Straker.
Let me see if I can simplify this. I want my students to reach 100% on the test. Do you come out and say, hey, student, just get 65% and I'm good with that? No, you don't do that. You say, I want all students to achieve 100% on the test. That's all we're doing, is saying, we want you to employ 30% of these individuals. No contract is being turned down because you didn't reach that 30%. I have personally spoke with Russell and Herman. That's not their issue. Their issue is not, oh, we can't find enough minority subcontractors to get this bid. What they're complaining about was the hard bid in which the RFP was. So we got to categorize why stuff is not happening. Let's just not throw the 30% in there and say that's the catch-all for why individuals are not interested in contracting with Clayton County Public Schools.
Yeah, to your point, it is a layered response, or we have gone to the CMAT risk approach to respond to market. But candidly, even for some of our CMAT risk contracts, we are seeing 1 to 2 bidders. The projects that we submitted today, again, it was only Media Construction that submitted. And I agree with you wholeheartedly in terms of the ask. However, I'm just reporting back what the market is saying. These 4 or 5 firms are not showing up to bids.
One last question in regards to that, Mr. Joseph. It is of my opinion that a collusion is happening with these contractors where they're saying, oh, Clayton County thinks that they're going to throw a 30% in there and get all of us to comply with that. So in order to get rid of that requirement, why don't we all get together and say, hey, we won't take any of those contracts until they do exactly what we're doing tonight. We have to make a choice as an organization to say, is the right thing something that we're going to stand by, or do we bow down to the collusion that I believe is happening with contractors?
Well said.
Well, that's your opinion about whether it's collusion or not. If you want to, if your goal is to have more minority participation, then we need to have a range and apples to oranges about what you want your children to learn and building a building. Two different. We're not even. That's not even a part of the
Just an
conversation.
analogy. Just an analogy.
Well, not a good analogy. So we're not. That's not what we're talking about. There are companies that are out there, and I'm glad you had a conversation because that was not what I was told. But I've had the same conversation, and that was one of the issues, the number that we have up there. And it's not that we're trying to lower any standard. We're trying to make it so that if our goal is to have different people getting contracts, we shouldn't see the same person every time. And because the irony of it is that the people that they're considering minorities aren't the people that we're trying to get employed, as we could see from an incident that we had. Those people were not Black and brown, because if that's it, we need to be more specific. But I could see if we had a range, it would help us, to get other companies, because I just looked at your information on some of these bids. And one of the things that was listed was, the company you asked, well, why didn't you bid for this particular thing? And they were saying that they didn't bid for it because they didn't want to be overextended with the people that they have. So those are some other things that you all need to take into consideration about, I think we're looking at the standard from an academic point as opposed to a construction point.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Bowles.
I think we're conflating terms. The SLBE does not address the gap in minority vendors. That stands for small, and the L is for local. That doesn't address Black, brown, women, or veteran underrepresentation. So I want to repeat that the current policy we have already falls short of what we want to do, which is see more women represented, more veterans represented, and more Black and brown folks represented. So we're already working with SLBE, which is a very niche standard. And the reason we didn't talk about race is because we've gone up the chain with the legality about whether or not that's fair without a disparity study, which we also still have not done. So I'm talking about SLBE, which we should not lower for all the reasons Mr. Straker just outlined, because it seems like we are yielding to the market, as you're putting it, Mr. Joseph. I hear you, which is you're using data and the facts are the facts, right? The vendors say this, but that doesn't, we're still allocating contracts to people who can't meet these goals, which is fine because it takes time. We're setting a new industry standard, yada, yada, yada. But I'm just confused, frankly, about the rationale to try to go the opposite direction when other folks can just tighten up.
Go ahead, Ms. Joseph.
Well, they're not adjusting, and so there is a cost factor by creating an environment where there's just one bidder. And so at some point, the board has to analyze the effects of the policy and make a decision.
Mhm. And the range isn't out of line. Would you propose a range, something like, would you propose up to or a range between, or the proposal, how could that be improved if we used a range? Because that also sounds like a decent suggestion versus just cutting them in half. What do you say to something like that?
I'm open to anything with the board. I will yield to the pleasure of the board. I'm just reporting back to what market says. There are 4 or 5 general contractors that will pursue our work if the board lowers the 15%.
Thank you.
And let me also include board members that this is difficult, first of all, trying to solve this. And we're moving policy and strategies around, going from hard bid to see them at risk, trying to ask for a higher threshold for small local business enterprise. But what Mr. Joseph and I are doing is we're going out speaking directly with minority contractors, sub or not, trying to encourage them to get involved, be engaged, even if it's from a subcontractor standpoint versus winning the general contractor contract. And we're making some inroads. There are some small businesses, minority included, that are now involved, maybe not as the general contractor that wins a bid, but getting more work from the developments that we're embarking in. And it's just going to take boots on the ground. Mr. Joseph and I and others getting in the faces of these general contractors and others, letting them know that we're serious about our expectations, and also simultaneously going out there speaking directly with these small local and minority business owners to get them more involved, although from a small standpoint right now, but as their bonding capacity grows because they're doing more work, then they can have a better opportunity to actually win bids down the road. But that's not going to be solved in a short period of time.
Mr. Christmas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is just a comment. I appreciate all the comments and everything that's being said and how we're discussing this policy and how important it is. But our employee's been here since 7 o'clock this morning. And we can talk about this all night. I think we should move on and continue to talk. If we need to express more about this deep policy, just remember our employee's been here since 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christmas. Also, we can have this discussion. We can talk a little bit more about it on Saturday. And I think also when information is presented to us, Ms. Bowles just mentioned the range. I had mentioned also the range as well. I think that we also need to understand the people that are coming up here are providing their expertise. And what I really prefer is if we're paying you for something, don't yield to the board. I think what you need to do is give us what's best for us, and that the board will make a decision, but the board needs to learn to accept your expertise and do that. Okay. So don't yield to us, and we can always come together and have a compromise, but I think the expertise lies with you that do the job. Do we have any more discussion? There was D, and let me see where else. Do we have any other comments? Because there's actually one that I see, but I'm gonna see if somebody else will bring it up instead of me. Ms. Bowles.
Are we still on policy matters?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, it's not specifically about one of these policies. It's kind of a point of privilege I'm requesting that's connected to policies. I just wanted to lift that. As y'all know, it's legislative session, and today is day 11 out of a 40-day session. And so we're just over 25% of the way through session. And the Legislative Black Caucus, or GLBC, is actually having a hearing this week about one of the issues that really matters to our district, which is the poverty supplement in the new QBE formula. And so I just wanted to lift that is happening on Wednesday, the 31st at the Capitol around 2 to 4. On behalf of the board, I will represent us and our scholars and talk about why this equation is so important. But just wanted to lift for those of you who are interested in watching session, learning more about session. This is big stuff and really important work that'll impact our local policies, and we will have representation at the state policy level. Thank you.
Thank you. I will also be attending, as I was invited by one of the other state representatives, so I'll be there as well. And anyone else is interested in coming. All right, we'll move on to this budget, to this board meeting calendar. All right. All right, I believe that the first one that we have listed is if I can get it pulled up. Actually, I don't want to be here all night, so I'm just going to try to see if we can break this down real simple. From what I've gathered from the board, and then I know Mr. Straker and I had a conversation today, there are 8 of us here tonight. And I think that if we voted on a calendar, we would end up in a stalemate. We must move on. From speaking to many of the board members, I think it would be hard for us to have a meeting once a month. So I am going to propose that we maintain the schedule that we have of the 2 meetings. So I'm just going to start with the 2 meetings. I'm not making a motion. I'm going to start with that and take discussion because we have 3 that are listed under this topic. I saw Ms. Cooper's slide is on.
Madam Chair, I would like to do a motion that we maintain the 2 days a month schedule for Mondays. That's the second schedule.
Okay. Ms. Baker.
I second that.
Okay. All right. We have a motion for maintaining the schedule of 2 meetings per month on Monday. Oh, Lord. I'm gonna do this. I'm going to abstain. I could just vote my fate. What I would like to do is not have the 2 meetings. And I could vote with my other colleagues, but I'm going to go ahead and abstain and let the majority have the 2 meetings. And I'm gonna tell you why. I know if Ms. Hill were here, she would vote I know she's not here, but she would vote in favor. And that would give the majority, because if we don't settle this tonight, we're going to continue. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm embarrassed because I've looked at every other school district schedule and they have this in place. And I've heard several reasons why we shouldn't move to 1. And I'm just going to say this. We make time. There's only one person up here on this dais that I know has an issue with the 1 meeting. But the others that are telling me, giving me, their rationale, I think that we make time for whatever it is that we can make time. I think that when we became elected officials, we knew that there might, we have meetings. And I think that if we had this conversation with our employers, we might be able to work it out. But I'm just gonna stick with my vote, which is abstention. Do you want to say something, Mr. Christmas?
Yeah, I want to say that Detroit Lions lost and our employees been here all day.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Christmas. Ms. Cooper, did you want to say something since you've already voted? You're not abstaining.
Go ahead and move forward.
All right, so the vote is 4 in favor, 3 in opposition, and I'm going to abstain. So that means we're sticking to the 2 schedule, to the Monday nights. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the approval of the proposed meeting agenda for February the 5th. Let me clear the board. And for the people that I do agree with, you all on the other end, I apologize. I just know if we don't have a majority, we'll still be in here next month trying to do the same thing. Do I have a motion for the proposed agenda? Ms. Bowles?
Motion to approve.
And I have a second, Mr. Christmas.
Second.
All right, thank you. Let's vote, please. All right, and it's unanimous. I think that we have covered everything. I think, wait a minute, let me
Yes,
see.
we
what
covered
there's something
everything.
that we were supposed to do. We are adjourned.
Mr. Manning,